Okay, you should all be
All
getting
right,
notifications. There you go.
cool. Well, thank you guys all for coming here and joining us today. This week's training is on our new proposal template. So Nicole and I will be walking you guys through the new stuff that came out of our BRAT Kaizen. Okay. Screen, I should be sharing Teams.
Yes.
Cool. All right, so out of our BRAT Kaizen, we have 4 files that we came up with. Our proposal template, our warranty matrix, pricing matrix, and our labor rates are all hosted in Teams, but these files are also located in our server. So in our Office templates folder, if you wanted to get it from there, you could. And similar to any other documents that are in Teams, you would have to copy this to your project. So right now we have them under our K Drive 2.0. Under General, we have a folder called Proposal Documents. And I'll go ahead and open the proposal template so we can show you guys what we got here.
It looks funny when you open it in Teams, so you're gonna have to open it in the desktop.
Yep.
All right. So as you can see, the cover page has changed a ton from how it looked before. This came out of a different Kaizen where the members of the Kaizen felt that it would be great to have the price right smack in the middle of the front page. So instead of having, you know, the formal letter that was previous on the cover sheet to address the person you're sending it to and all the documents included, we changed that. So the project name is right there, big, bold right there. And then right below that is your total price. And then there's an area right below that where you can select the date that you're turning in the proposal. You'll see the circle. There's instructions on how to put a picture of your project there. So most documents that come over obviously have some kind of rendering of the building or something like that. So you'll want to take a snip of that, save it in your pictures, right click, select fill, click on the picture and choose your picture from the file. So the steps are listed there. I don't know, Pedro, you're running the show. I don't know if you want to just put a picture in there just to show everybody if you have one.
Right.
So fill, picture from file, and then you can select the Dodgers picture or
Yeah.
whatever you want to put there, because I know how much Brian will love that. So, okay, perfect. There you go. There's the picture. So your project picture is right there. You'll enter the GC name. So prepared for who the contact is at, who your contact is with the GC, their number and their email. And then below would be our contacts. So whoever the estimator was for glass. If it's a joint job, there's space there to put the contact for precast. If it's not a joint job, just feel free to delete that. So yeah, so that's the cover sheet. And then Pedro is going to walk you through pricing matrix.
Yeah, so on the next page, we'll put in our pricing matrix. Here, kind of before we were documenting which documents we were working off of in our previous cover page before, but now we'll have it in here. So you'll list out who the architect is and the drawing set title here in this gold colored text. And right here, we have the instructions to how you would bring over your pricing matrix. So right now, this is just a placeholder showing you kind of how it would look in here. But if we follow these instructions, we can copy and paste our pricing matrix in here. So right now I'm going to open up our new pricing matrix template.
What do you guys think of the format? Does it look like really modern? You guys digging it so far? Yeah, better than the old school, really vanilla proposal? Yeah, okay, great.
Some of that shaking.
Good, Nicole.
Okay, so here's our pricing matrix. It's very similar to the previous one, the budget pricing matrix timeline Excel that we had before. Now we're just calling it pricing matrix, and it's colored up similarly to our proposal. And if you'd like to use these different boxes that collapse and expand in here, they're available and they're also formatted there. So the intent is that you would be working on your pricing matrix in this Excel file, and then you would copy your pricing matrix into your Word file following these instructions here. Once the instructions are in, once you follow the instructions and bring your pricing matrix in, you can delete the text out of here. That's the intent with the red text there. And if you have a separate breakout for the alternates, you would just follow those similar instructions there. Any questions on the pricing matrix? Do we need to walk through that?
Well, you made one update to it to add the bond cost, which wasn't there before, so I don't know if you want to show that.
Okay. The our previous budget pricing matrix timeline didn't have a line item for the bond. So we've added this one to our new pricing matrix. And if you find that it's not something that you need for your project, you can either delete the entire row or just collapse it and hide it. And maybe you would hide both of these rows right here and change that from subtotal to total. But often there is a breakout for the bond, and this would be a good area to have it there.
I like it. Good addition.
Okay, moving on to the scope of work. This area also changed up quite a bit. You've noticed that we have a completely different description here for the scope. So we're going to be listing out the system names. The numbering here would follow our pricing matrix. And then we would list out the footages, the unit price for that system, and the total price for that system. So the reason for this is while we were in the Kaizen, we got some feedback from the GCs, and they were saying that they were often writing down notes off to the sides as far as what the footage was, what the unit price was. So giving our customers a little bit of value added info into our proposal, we're giving them that there so that they don't have to shuffle back and forth between the pages. This does add a little bit more work for us, especially towards the end of our process where we're finalizing our pricing matrix. Maybe we've already had our proposal in the works. So a key point is to just make sure that if you do update your pricing matrix, you want to update the numbers down below accordingly. Now for the scope description, if you remember, our standard scope descriptions that are in our server are more of a paragraph format. We haven't addressed the scope descriptions in our current Kaizen, but that'll be the next phase, is to standardize the scope descriptions. But the intent here is to make it easier to read and not be as convoluted with a lot of wording in it. So we have some placeholders in here to help you write your proposal when you're using this template. A would be the system description, B, the paint description, C and D are placeholders for glass, E would be the caulking, F, any accessories, G, talk about the anchoring, and H, installation description. And further down the road, we'll notice that we don't have a spot for the logistics plan. And the intent behind that is that the logistics plan is going to be a separate package that will go out with our email when we're submitting our bid. But if you do not have a logistics plan, the installation plan would be one line item under that scope description.
So how are you separating the precast from the glass?
We didn't come up with a standard way to address that.
I think you would just use like like as far as like scope description, how you guys usually like type in your system, like under where we have our scope descriptions.
No, I'm talking about the logistics plan.
Oh, well, you guys send over your own logistics plan, right?
Right.
And then we would send over our own logistics plan. So like when we're emailing the contractor, we would just attach both documents. The problem with the logistics plan section was it was kind of silly because we were just like, it was just like writing like a little blurb, but we had like a whole section for it. So we figured like if we're already attaching a logistics plan, like why are we writing like a little blurb about it, you know? When we're already attaching it, we could just reference it in our email that we're attaching that document. If anybody else has anything to add from the Kaizen to that point.
I'll just add that there's a whole separate Kaizen that was tackling those logistics plans, and they just signed up to do a report out training to this group on December 9th.
Okay.
But just a quick one. What about the spot where we had something about when we're starting in the field? That was under logistics. We would kind of have a little verbiage like looking to start somewhere in so-and-so date, so-and-so year. I know that was a part of the logistics portion.
I think we blew past that one. The only thing I can link to it is if we're giving them a schedule, it'll kind of check the box on that one. But maybe that is something we can put back in here somewhere.
Well, we talked about that yesterday at Precast as we were doing our review of portions of this, Frank, and what we still have the contract qualification about mutually agreeable schedule that we delete if there's a schedule in the bid documents that we agree with. And then there'll be times when operations provides a schedule. I think the major gap we have is if we're making an assumption and we're going to communicate to the customer what field time frame we're assuming, we don't have a place to put that specifically anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that was the slot that I was thinking of. Like when you don't have time for a schedule, you just want to let them know, even for us, so we know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good PDCA. I mean, that could be in clarifications to have like clarification to schedule or something along those lines to have a spot there to communicate the assumed delivery window.
Agreed. Okay, yeah, I'm making a note for that for Friday. Okay, that's a good one. Anything else on the scope?
So one thing too that came out of this Kaizen was we wanted to allow the GC enough room on the page to make notes. So you'll see like the systems are like really spaced out on the pages. That is intentional. I think we wanted to limit it to like 1 to 2 like systems per page, just to allow the GC's space to mark up whatever they need to on our proposal. So just as a point when you are working on putting together your proposal, if you could keep that in mind.
Don't try to squeeze in 3 or 4 of them in
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Okay, I'll give it back to you, Nicole.
Clarifications? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so clarification, so narrative of changes, kind of stayed the same. Anything, if you're bidding this for like a second or third time, anything that you want to note that changed from the last documents, you'd put there. Any clarifications to instructions of bidders, kind of stay the same, you'd put that there. One item that we did change a little bit for the specifications was we found, just from like looking at a bunch of different proposals by different estimators, that everybody was kind of doing their clarifications to specifications differently. So we wanted to be really clean by breaking it out by section. So as you can see, there's sections, and then within that section, you'll list out the qualifications, just so they're broken down by section. We thought that that would provide clarity to the customer. So there's some sample sections there with some examples highlighted in red, just to show you like an example of how you could write that out. Obviously, delete them, but just to give an example while you're filling out the proposal. And then clarifications to the drawings, that stayed the same. Moving over to exclusions, this came out of a different Kaizen as well. Before, the list of exclusions was really long and they weren't in any sort of order or category. So we took a look at the exclusions, took out ones that we kind of thought were not necessary, and then we arranged them in categories to provide clarity to the customer. These are just the general ones, but you can always feel free to add more to this that are project specific. But this is all broken down in categories. And this also came out of the other Kaizen, the warranty matrix. So we thought it would be beneficial to provide like upfront, like what warranty we're offering. A lot of times the specs calling for one type of warranty that we're not going to provide. For example, workmanship warranty, a lot of times they're calling for 10 years. We will only go up to 5. So the warranty matrix is its own Excel file. Pedro, I don't know if you have that pulled up, but we can look at that. So there's a spec section. So you'd write the spec section, you type that in, and then what the spec name is, and then the material, and then what type of warranty it is. That's a drop down. So is it a pass through? Is it workmanship? Then there's a column for what the spec warranty is calling for and the warranty that we are offering. And then the warranty start date. So substantial completion, or I forgot what else is in that drop down. Date of manufacture, I think. Yeah. So there's drop downs there. So that's just one other item that you would fill out on the side. Oh, Jake has a question.
Yeah, not sure whose PDCA it would fall under, but I did one of these already, and one of the things that I ran into was I had a lot more spec sections than are here, and I had a heck of a time making it this table bigger for whatever reason. So maybe if we start big and then shrink down as needed.
Great feedback.
Thanks.
Or is this, I guess, a question for Nicole and Pedro? The warranty one, it's a separate file, right? So we're not adding lines to it within the proposal. You should be formatting it to what you want as that separate file and then copying that into the proposal, right?
Yes, correct.
Is that what you were doing, Jake, or just within Word?
No, I had the separate file, and I don't remember now what my exact issue was, but formatting wasn't moving. I think it maybe had something to do with the drop downs or something like that.
Yeah,
That could be.
there's a hidden column A over there that's got values for the drop downs, and
So I probably wasn't copying those.
yeah, I think that needs to be dragged down with it. But I agree. I just did this and I had more, and I ran into the same issue. And I made this and forgot that I put it over there. So.
Cool. Well,
You
yeah,
should
I agree.
definitely add
Maybe we
more.
just start with more lines, and then you're only copying and pasting what you're filling out. That way, we don't have to reformat it every single time.
Yep.
All right, so that's the warranty matrix. Any other questions on it? No, okay. All right, moving on to the contract qualifications. So this again came out of the other Kaizen, but we spent a lot of time talking about our qualifications, rewording them, writing them in a maximum of 2 sentences, just trying to provide like as much clarity as we can. We added a lot of notes to direct you, like when you're writing your proposal, like when you should delete it, when you need to leave it in, all that. Everything that needs to be updated is highlighted in red. And then there's like notes, you know. So for example, number 10, this only applies to full wall panels, delete if we don't have panel scope. So it's going to direct you to delete that whole qualification if we don't have that scope. The one other note that came out of the other Kaizen as well is we went through and marked up every qualification, either as being very important, non-negotiable, or sacrificial lamb. So when it comes time to like negotiating a contract, it's super valuable to like be able to like reference back to this to say like, okay, like which qualifications are non-negotiables, like which ones do we absolutely need in our contract, and which ones are we okay with letting go of. So all those notes are in here now. They're off to the side. When you do print this to a PDF, I do believe you have to do one step just to make sure that those markups aren't showing up on your PDF. So
And I'm not sure which one it is.
you can, when you go, I don't know the best way to do it, but I know if you go to print, if you go like home and then print, and then where it's print all pages, yeah, I click in there and then go down to print markup and uncheck that one. Yeah, then
Okay.
the notes will go away. Maybe we should make a note of that somewhere, just so, I don't know.
The
Anyways.
other way to, I mean, you were in the right place, Pedro, if you just went into no markups. So that can be nice if you want to, as you're working on the proposal, if you want to look at it in a bigger format and not have the margins. Because you don't necessarily need it when you're drafting the proposal. It's more of a contract review type
For sure.
situation, probably.
So the very first one, when I opened it up, it was set to all markup. Yeah.
All right, so any questions on the qualifications or the notes added off to the side?
Where are you guys getting the design criteria? Is that from the structural drawings?
It comes,
Yeah. From Jumpstart, we'll reference our Jumpstart package number 2, at least for the glass side. That's always a good, safe place to get that from. But I'm not sure how Precast would go about that.
You guys aren't looking at the structural drawings at all?
Yeah, so our Jumpstart team, they'll go through the structural drawings, and I know that they have their own separate processes to see if they have conflicting info between the specs and the structural drawings. But I mean, I guess we have it a little bit easier since they are summarizing that for us.
Okay.
Tony, that's been, I mean, for us, this isn't a change in process. So, I mean, the language that's been in the proposal as it relates to the design loads has always come for a long time from Jumpstart doing that review of the structurals and providing us that information.
Yeah, we were just curious. Yeah, it came up yesterday and we have to follow what you guys come up with. So we're both on the same page, so.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a nice, one of those first days going into our daily huddles to confirm if it's a joint job. Make sure that Jumpstart kind of runs it through you guys like, hey, this is what we've come up with. Have you guys seen something different?
Right.
sweet. Any other questions on this part? No. Okay, Pedro's going to talk a little bit about labor rates.
Yeah, so the labor rates, since we don't have individual proposal templates for the different locations, we're working off the same template. The labor rates are going to be in the separate Excel file. So if you get it from Teams, you would open that labor rates file, which is opening for me right now. You would find the location that you need and the year that you need as well. So we have those broken down in here, precast 2022 through 2024, Laverne, Fremont, and Las Vegas. It's very similar to our pricing matrix. You would want to copy this and paste that into the Word template, following those instructions there. And once you do, you can erase the text there.
One note I just want to add, there will be tabs added for joint proposals of having both the precast and glass rates on the same one. I'm trying to get from accounting what your rates in precast will be for your shop in 23 and 24. So that I can get those completed and get them on there. They're trying to figure out if you guys happen to know what your shop change order rates are for 23 and 24 and can let me know, then that'll expedite the process. I have your iron workers, just not your shop.
And our last page here, the insurance qualifications. This stayed very similar to our previous proposal there. And that is the end of our proposal. Not sure we want to go back to something. If there's any questions.
Can you pull up a completed one?
Yeah, I was gonna say I have one open.
I'll stop sharing.
Oh, do you have one, Pedro, too?
Not open, no. If you
Okay.
do, yeah.
You see this? Everybody can see
Yes.
this? Yes, okay, great. So this was for Southline. So there's a picture of the building, our contacts, the pricing matrix. This was just a little bit different as there's a couple buildings, so it's broken down by building. Pricing matrix, there is one formatting error on this, I'm just throwing it out there. But so here's the scope. So this was for 3 buildings, that's why it's like kind of expanded like that, but gives you a brief description of the system, the color, the glass, the sealant, accessories with the louvers. It's just going down. Still room for the GC to make notes if they need to make notes on here. Going down. Tell me if I'm going too fast. Here's the clarification section. Clarifications of specs broken out by section. This is where the formatting got messed up that I didn't catch, and I feel like an idiot, but keep going. Exclusions. Warranty matrix. And qualifications. What do you guys think?
More razzle dazzle. That was the.
Is
That was
it
the
more
intent.
modern? Like
Yeah, it looks
less
good.
like old
It look-
school?
It is visually pleasing. It looks nice. Well,
Can I see an old one? Because I don't even know what an old one looks like.
Can you see an old one? Yeah, let's pull one up. Pedro, you want to or you want me to?
I would have to hunt one down.
I was just gonna pull up our old template, maybe.
Sure.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll pull up our old template. Okay, maybe I'm not gonna pull it up. Hold on. It's loading.
Oh, you know what? I deleted them.
Oh, I was gonna say,
I would just try to open one up and I'm like, oh, I can't open it either. Sorry.
let's go to an old job.
So I did take those old templates down. I archived them in our same folder. They're just in a zip folder if we ever need to get something out of them.
I'm going.
If not, I'm like
Do you
seconds
want
away.
I've got one.
I got one. Okay, go ahead, whoever.
Let me go ahead and share. So this is the old cover page. Had a little table of contents there. Pricing matrix. How the scope of work was just listed out in the old one. Lot less colors in it.
For vanilla.
The long list of qualifications and exclusions. Yeah, so that is what our old proposal looked like.
Any other questions?
Nobody here is colorblind, are they? I only bring that up because I had a guy working for me that was colorblind and couldn't read certain things.
Well, and that's why I think we kept all of our text in black. So and tried to stay with colors and back, where we're not as much like backgrounds behind things. Feedback that we got from GCs is that a fair amount of them try to still print out these. They still like working with paper. So trying to be respectful of people's color ink. Wanted them to have a little bit of color, but not a lot. So that we're not burning through all of their ink to print our proposal.
To that point, have you attempted to print one in black and white? And does it come out looking okay?
I don't know if any of us have tried that. I know that we've looked at it. How would it look on your phone? Sometimes they look at it on their phone that you give it to them late Friday, but
I have a black and white copy of one right here in my hand.
how's it look?
Black and white. Can you see it? No, probably not.
It's blurry.
It's blurry.
Confidential.
Can you tell, I mean, does the picture on the front cover, I mean, you still tell it's a picture of something in black and white?
Yeah, it comes out pretty crisp.
Okay.
Really doesn't look that bad. I mean, it in black and white still looks better than the old proposal.
Good.
Okay. I mean, if you ever guys do have any questions, just let any of us know. Nicole, Brian, Vince, myself, Amy. Am I missing someone from this group?
No, we just need to figure out where all this stuff is.
So I think you guys should have access to our K-Drive 2.0.
And I double checked after when that question came up in our last training with everyone. And yes, everyone in precast was invited and is showing up on the K-Drive 2.0. So if anyone doesn't see it or have access, let us know. And I mean, we can we'll try to work with you individually, but I double checked and everyone has the permissions and the invite, and it should automatically be showing up on your list of channels within Teams.
I was gonna say, Pedro, maybe you touched on it and I wasn't listening. I hope that's not the case, but when you paste in the matrix or any tables that come over from Excel for that matter, I think me and you talked about how there's like a couple different ways to get them centered in there and making sure that those look all right.
Right, yeah, and it's right here, I think, step 6. If you follow this auto fit and then fit to window, it does do some formatting of the columns to try to keep the margins
Can you
at
share your
1 inch.
screen, Pedro? You weren't sharing right now.
I'm sorry. Okay, so here on step number 6, when we bring over a pricing matrix and select auto fit and then fit to window, getting that.
I'm wondering if you need to open it in desktop.
Oh, yep, it's in Teams.
I think Microsoft be able to make Microsoft Word work in Microsoft Teams.
Right.
You're asking way too much, Robert. It's not okay.
Yeah, so if you select your table, click this little icon in the top left here, right click, auto fit to window, auto fit to window. It does format your table a little bit so that the margins around the page maintain the same margin across. Although Jake and we were playing around with this on a different job and it looked a little strange. So we didn't follow those instructions there on that one. And I'll keep an eye on it the next time I'm working on another job to see if it is something that we can fix within the pricing matrix to make sure it fits nicely in here without having to reformat the table a whole lot. But if you are finding something like that, let us know and we'll run it through the group. There.
Yeah, the one that caught my eye, because we caught the pricing matrix, but the warranty matrix, it did a weird thing where it was like pulling the last letter down into the next row. So not anything crazy, but.
Yes, yeah, and that might be something that we need to format the individual Excel file. And see what the size of this table is and how it fits in Word.
Up in the scope of work section, Pedro, there's a couple, the numbering gets messed up in the template. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it starts over at 4 again. Just
We might have updated that this morning.
okay.
The lettering for like the scope description part.
Oh, the numbers, like number 6 says WWID number 4.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, okay, yep, we'll update that one. I was looking at the gold colored numbers. Yep, you're right.
Gets to 5 and then starts over.
5, 6. Yeah, earlier we did fix kind of the formatting with these over here. So, yeah. I'm sure James would be happy to help any of us out if we have any glitches along the way. James Watts. Yep. He was the creative genius behind a lot of the colors and getting it nice and revamped and formatting of it. All right. Can't really think of anything else unless you guys do.
Is this the one that's in Teams that we're all gonna be copying from, or?
Just keep the Dodger picture in there.
I'm sure
where I
that's
was
why
going with
Jake
that.
said that. No.
Okay.
I'll have to swap that out because I did forgot that I did put this in here. So I'll replace this one.
On that first place there too, where it says prepared for enter GC name and then enter GC name right below it. That's supposed to be contact name, right?
Yeah, GC company, maybe?
The one below it though is the contact.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, contact might be a better word here. But I'll fix that on the other file and not this one here.
To the point of what happened though right now, I mean, it is a good one. So we're good. We're testing out the idea of keeping these templates on Teams. But the downside to having the templates on Teams is that they can easily be modified. So please try when you open this up for your job to do a save as and you know, or move it to the channel for your job so that we're not overwriting what's in the template. We have saved hard copies in secure locations off of anywhere where anyone can make modifications, so we can always restore it, but just to, you know, try to minimize that going on, try to be careful about it. I mean, we're giving this a shot, trying these things out in keeping the template in Teams, but it is a risk that we're taking.
Have we tried making it a template instead of a docx file or whatever, making an actual template and see if it works within Teams? If you click on it, it actually opens a new.
We can try that. I suspect it's not going to work, just because the way that the template files, my understanding of how they work, the template files work that they open up a non-template file when you're using a Microsoft product that knows it. I think that you're going to get into a situation where it's going to just open it for you as the template file. But we can experiment. But
Yeah, I didn't know. Teams.
If Microsoft can't make it that their functionality of Word works within Teams, I highly doubt they've made it that the templates, you know, work correctly in Teams.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I think that's all we got.
Okay, looks good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice
Thanks,
job, guys.
everyone.
Yeah, thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank
Guys.
you.
See you guys.
Bye.